to the Premier League football. And wow, what a start. Manchester City 2, Tottenham 3. Spurs lit the fuse on this narrative bomb a mere 4 minutes into the game when new boy Dejan Kulusevski capped a lightning-quick counter to put the visitors ahead. But a sky blue rebuttal came on 33 minutes when captain Ilkay Gundogan pounced on a loose ball in the area. The second half would get even better. Spurs retook the lead in the 59th minute when City's defenders gave Harry Kane a guard of honour on his way to latch onto a Sonny cross, with Antonio Conte's mob leading 2-1 in the 89th minute. Christian Romero blocked a Bernardo shot with his arm, and Riyad Mahrez lashed home what looked to be the equaliser. But in the 95th minute, down the other end, it was that ginger Viking, Kulusevski, who hung one up at the back post for Kane to head home and win it for the Spurs. Just a breathless game of football, massive implications for both teams and maybe even the title race. The Premier League at its best, Roger.
Oh, Daddy Kane. Davo, cast your mind back to the start of the season with me, would you? Did we all just dream this? Nuno Espirito Santo, beardy boy coach of Spurs.
Yeah.
Fans excited. Song Heung Min's winner landed a counter-punching goal, shocking the defending champions. But since then, my God, how the two teams' fortunes had changed. Pep's mob swaggered into this one after obliterating Sporting in the Champions League. Just so imperious, borderline perfect, and so bloody hungry. But Spurs, Antonio Conte, the cool mental of coaches, had brought his Anton Chigga but Italian and scarier haircut to Tottenham, and honestly appeared to have given up after 3 straight losses. I interviewed him last week, was it Tuesday? And he told me things like, "We are not close." And I love this line, "It's better to tell hard truths than easy lies." All said with no emotion, as if the two of us were standing over a dead body that he was autopsying and he had no emotional connection to it. I mean, honestly, that's how he was talking about Tottenham Hotspur. Worse, the day before the game was taken up with this bizarre Spurs trying to gag their own manager from speaking to Sky Italia, where he said hard truths like, "My squad is weakened in January." Let us remind ourselves, David, going into this one, didn't Conte seem like a guy who was checked out the project already? A winner who didn't feel like there's any winning to be done here?
Yes, but the other thing that came across loud and clear in that interview, Rog, is just how competitive he is. He said something which really struck me, that he understands the difference between a loss and a draw and a win. And, we've spent a lot of time saying, well, when does a draw feel like a win and when does a draw feel like a loss? And he draws a clear distinction between those three emotions. And in this game, he basically had all three of them. But he's competitive. You can see on the sideline when you cut him, he is a passionate, menthol cigarette smoking man who wants to win football games.
And so, amidst the chaos and the darkness off the field, the game began like a ray of light for Spurs fans. 4 minutes in, classic Tottenham counter-attacking football. By the way, the way to beat Manchester City, like watching Luke Skywalker fire a proton torpedo down a thermal exhaust port of a Death Star. A goal, we should say, we saw so many times in the brief, happy part, the Mourinho spell before he decided to flick the burn it all down switch, David.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like a throwback to that time.
Yeah, Kane releasing Sonny. Kane tracking back, Sonny on the overlap. Fantastic ball. Sonny, like one-on-one against the goalkeeper, it seemed. You're just waiting for him to shoot. And then, oh my word, Kulusevski makes such a great little stutter step almost. Makes some room for himself. Sonny finds him. Kulusevski finishes. Fantastic goal.
Yeah, Kane sometimes never looks more dangerous than when he's got his back to the goal at the halfway line. It unleashes like the inner QB1 we know he thinks lives within. And he was aware City were playing a ridiculously high line, fed a speeding Sonny like Joe Burrows to a South Korean Jamar Chase. And Sonny sped in. And fascinatingly, and this threw me brilliantly, spotted Kulusevski, who'd sprinted forward, as you say, stagger step, created room near the edge of the box, slotted in, coolly, cruelly through the legs of Cancelo into an empty net. Honestly, it was like watching someone ace the Wordle on the first guess. It was astonishing. But for you, was it signature dictionary definition too early?
I don't know. I think away against the champions, when you're Tottenham, I don't think there is too early. I think you just getting on the score sheet is really important, if for nothing else, not to win the game, just to give yourself some belief. Just some belief that you can do it.
Now, City had not been behind since about 2012, give or take, and they responded by turning up their intensity as Spurs dropped into the Conte shell. Wing-backs Ryan Sessegnon and Emerson Royal just dropping deep, form a back five, reminding me watching them of Roman warfare. What is it? The testudo, the tortoise formation, the shield wall used by legions during sieges. And what City did, just charging forward, was amazing from that point on. But Spurs stood so firm. They began to dream. And I wrote in my game notes, a nation of Liverpool fans vicariously dreamt, fantasised alongside them. And then in my game notes, I wrote, with an exclamation mark, nice while it lasted, Liverpool fans, because after half an hour of meticulous defensive work, a second of fallibility from Hugo Lloris, my God, in his 400th game.
Yeah, pretty innocuous ball came in from Raz. Lloris spills it and breaks the Gundogan 1-1.
Yeah, God, I feel for Lloris. I mean, second game on the run. What was it? Against Wolves, that weak punch. Here, he couldn't hold on to the ball. Gundogan punished his slot. And from that point on, you really braced yourself for the deluge, didn't you?
You did, but Tottenham just showed some fight in this game. They showed some desire. I don't know, maybe finally the sort of the no condiment diet. It might take a while to run through the Tottenham team, but now they've cleaned out that condiment toxicity from their systems, and suddenly they had some fight in them.
I regret that. That was the one thing. I had two questions I couldn't ask him. One was, what is the secret to a great fitting suit? It just didn't feel appropriate. And the other question I had was, what have you got against ketchup? Question mark. I did want to ask him that. Couldn't get to it. We got a note, though. Yes, there was Spurs fight, but the telling of the game has to note City players, razzing, Foden menacing, Bernardo, good Lord, KDB, just, stepping up to the ball and doing something avant-garde in flurries. All of them just stepped up. This is what makes the Tottenham performance even better, is that City, for long spells, look like all-stars who are willing or forced by the nature of their other teammates' insane talents to be part of a collective. It's like watching Miles Davis sextet, or what I imagine, with John Coltrane and Cannonball Adderley all stepping up, kind of light blue, I guess is what you call their album. 90% possession for long spells. Spurs just, trying to hold on as City purred, charged, found angles. But I said on Friday in WGFOP, our weekend preview, how City's greatest opponent, it was actually Vincent Kompany that told me this. He said it's not the opponent, it's complacency. And so it proved to be, because, my God, Spurs only went and sprang it again.
Yeah. And that old 1-2, but going the 2-1 way now, Sonny to Harry Kane. Fantastic. 2-1 in the lead. Crowd, the travelling fans going insane.
Harry Kane, I once asked him, I said, Harry, how do you find space in the football field and make it look like that ball just comes to you every time? And I braced myself for an incredible answer. And God bless, Harry Kane just blinked, thought for a minute, and then said, I don't know, really. And I thought about that, watching him ghost in between City centre-backs, have the ball bounce on his command right in front of him, and then he opened up his body and caressed it into the far corner, wrong foot in the keeper. I mean, that was a 99% difficulty shot, David, that he made look so bloody effortless.
Yeah, so easy. Look, there is no free will. We're all in a simulation. But Harry Kane has been scoring goals his entire life. Can you imagine the number of goals he's scored between on the practice field, in real matches, in his back garden? For him, he doesn't have to think about it at all. He just goes into autopilot.
I don't know, really. I mean, what was incredible? Well, so much was incredible. The first goal he'd helped happen by playing as a number 10. The second, just excelling as a number 9. And the scenes that followed, Sonny beaming, pointing to the name on the back of Harry's jersey, before the just astonished, gobsmacked Spurs fans. You almost felt for a moment the good old Poch days are back. He's one of our own, sang the Spurs fans to a player who'd wished so hard to enter the Manchester City promised land. Turns out Harry Kane proper hates Manchester City. And, in that moment, everyone howled. We knew Harry would make a massive contribution to the title race at the Etihad. Oh, I've got to say, not buying Harry. Possibly Pep's worst mistake since the hooligan. And we should note, Lloris came out with a flying Savo redemption to tip a Gundogan fastball away from the top corner. We should also note, Kane had a similar chance moments later. Ederson poked it away. Also had one chalked off for an earlier offside in the move. But it all seemed so bloody incredible. And again, we asked over Twitter, Liverpool fans, how has it felt to experience 90 minutes living in Spurs supporters' shoes? Only for the experience. Let's just say, the complete Spurs experience. To expose itself to Liverpool fans in the 92nd minute. Darkness on the edge of town. Yeah, darkness inside the area. Romero, I thought it's a little harsh, but once it went to review, you knew that this was going to be a penalty. Poor Romero, just really trying to protect his face almost with his arm, but that was it, penalty. And Riyad Mahrez steps up and wow. Smash that penalty home. Amazing thing. Peter Drury, to me, the best commentator in the world. But when Mahrez scored, 92nd minute, he was like, and Manchester City think they can win it, which was retrospectively, well, let's just say brilliant misdirection for everything that followed. Who knew? As New York Magazine readers would say, a vibe shift was coming. 95th minute, Davo. One of the greatest moments of the season, of any season. Kulusevski, Roger, been so impressive throughout. Sweden have found another good player. Puts one into the back post. Kane just rises. I mean, it's magisterial. It just was so phenomenal. And it goes there. It was such a Harry Kane poster signature moment. And he wins it for the Spurs. I mean, the only moment in football I've ever seen like it was when Arya Stark just leapt out of nowhere to kill the Night King. Harry Kane rising up over Kyle Walker, posterising Kyle Walker, as if he was Frederick Weiss. And Frederick Weiss, who loves sex parties. What a moment for football. What a moment from a human perspective. What a moment for Spurs fans. So many levels to this goal. From the micro, Spurs fans instantly cite Kulusevski and Bentancur, so involved in key moments. And we should say, for Kulu, a goal and an assist. He's just 21. But I mean, Davo, the Harry Kane narrative, if it was a movie, you wouldn't believe it. It was like watching Mbappe score against Real Madrid. It's incredible, first of all, that we all get to share moments like that together live. Kane, like an English Mbappe, scoring late and great against a team he was heavily and constantly linked to, capping a performance which has been hailed by those who watch the Spurs longer and harder than I think I could humanly bear as one of the single greatest by a Tottenham player in the modern period. The only way it could have been better, Davo, was if that dude from Big Jet TV was doing the commentating. Go on, son! But, collectively, Rog, we also, everybody in football, had yet another year in which we questioned whether Harry Kane was finished. Whether the move to Man City had turned his head, whether he'd lost it. It was finally too old. We've counted him out several times this season. We counted him out, during the Euros before he turned that around. We counted him out in the beginning part of this season when it didn't look like he was ever going to score. And wow, as you said, maybe his greatest performance ever in a Spurs shirt. And when that ball went in, there was an incredible shot. Again, if Scorsese was directing Premier League football, he couldn't have shot it more beautifully. On the sideline, Pep, foreground, sinking to his knees. By the way, even the fourth official oddly seems to be gutted by what he was watching. But not Conte. He reeled around madly, kinetically. I mean, Davo, it was magnificent to watch him celebrating like some kind of Italian baby Billy Freeman. The true Conte is back. Yeah, I mean, and there is the guy who at the beginning of this, and you're so right, in your interview with him, didn't seem like he particularly cared for Tottenham Hotspur, but my God, he loves winning. And, who could not be inspired by that? And you can't really imagine any other manager presiding over that kind of a victory other than Antonio Conte. You say that, And by the way, what a week for him, from the ridiculous to the sublime. Really, really, really that human roller coaster he's been in. You can't see any manager doing it, but 4 different Spurs managers, Pochettino, Mourinho, even bloody Nuno Espirito Santo doing his cup of coffee at Tottenham, and now Tony Conte. They've all beaten Guardiola's City in exactly the same way. That's what will create an agony in the laboratory with the bubbling test tubes for Pep this week. You can beat City with a robust defensive shape and an electric counter that has to be clinical. Did they have 5 shots on goal to get the 3 they needed? You have to be utterly clinical. And now 4th to 8th place are only separated by 6 points. They are utterly there. And for City, 72% possession, 21 shots. I think the stats are crazy. They enjoyed like 62 touches in the opposition penalty area to Spurs 7. They played 104 passes into the final third. I'm only saying this. That's a record, by the way, under Pep Guardiola. City were bloody good. City were bloody good on this day and yet left defeated. And that's what makes me adore football. We've chuckled over the past few weeks as Guardiola maintained a title race still lives. He was right. And post-game, he hinted at that, talking about just how difficult it is to defend the Premier League title. He said we didn't need to lose a game to know how hard it is to win this league. There are many, many games still to play. We got ourselves a title race, David.
Yeah, 6 points ahead of Liverpool, but Liverpool have a game in hand. I mean, it really is a title race. Chelsea, by the way, I'm not saying Chelsea are in the title race, but they're only 13 points behind. They've got a game in hand also, so it could be 10, it could be 3, and still plenty of games to go this season.
And Everton, I think, are they 57 points behind, but maybe a game or 2 in hand? So they're not out.
They've definitely got the game or 2 in hand.
Yeah, to be clear, City lost, but remain an incredible, incredible football team on pace for 90-plus points. They have still won 48 out of the last 53 points available. However, as Spurs shows, there is a glitch in their computer code when, City's fullbacks push up and they play that crazy high line. They are not immortal. That is their weakness. They are not immortal. And Liverpool, God love them, quietly survived the AFCON, finding ways to win and win and win, as we will discuss. And the situation, as you say, City 6 points ahead of Liverpool. Liverpool have the game in hand on Wednesday at home to Leeds. And then a game at City to come in April. Yes, Pep has not lost at home to Liverpool in his Premier League career. But next home game for the avant-garde knitwear tactician, the Manchester Derby. Well played, Premier League scriptwriters, well played. We have a title race. Liverpool fans, it pains me to say this, one without any reason at all I can blemish or taint by saying the words asterisk. And by the way, I did tweet this. I feel for whichever team has to play City next. That was my feeling at the final whistle. They are going to get battered. And then I Googled who City play next, Davo.
Oh.
It's Everton.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough game. There's nothing encouraging I can say at all about that.
Oh, we'll leave the last word to a Spurs fan, because I hope Tottenham fans had a night. Because after all, the doom and gloom of the season, God, you deserved it. We got a tweet from great GFOP at Gap Golfer, who wondered, does the double over City count as a trophy? Because it certainly feels like it should warrant something. It does. It does. A trophy in your heart.